probably one of the important issues touched upon will be the economic cooperation.
Sure.
FT and also the White House website carried remarks by Secretary of Commerce of the United States saying they have a 100-day negotiation on economic issues, mainly on financial and energy. This is, of course, a report. We can neither confirm it or deny it. Not for us to do. What is important, I believe, is that the summit, Mar-a-Lago summit, has made it once and again very clearly that economic cooperation will be the foundation for this bilateral relationship. Except for core interest, of course. If one or the other country challenges the core interest of the other party, everything will be finished, will be gone. But I don't think that's the picture now. You can see President Donald Trump had confirmed or had expressed once again before the summit on U.S. continuation of one China policy, adherence to one China policy, and on respect for mutually respect for common interest or core interest. And this time they have reaffirmed the principle of no conflict, no confrontation, etc. That all means core interest will be taken care of. It does not mean there will be no friction, there will be no arguments, but in principle both agree. Coming back to economic issues, I think the agreement is important, that both sides are willing to discuss it.
That's true.
Because for such a long time, Trump has been complaining so much about the U.S. trade deficit with China.
Right.
And this time, it looks to me that both sides agree, let's sit down and address this very complicated trade issue together. And one of the results is a 100-day plan. So we don't know yet what is the plan all about. Do you have anything to offer?
Well, my observation will be the following. There is no way you can go into a trade war or to have increased trade frictions.
Looks like both sides don't want to have a trade war.
Right. President Xi has repeatedly said there will be no winner from any trade war. Nobody will come out saying, I'm a winner. Trade war means both will lose. So I don't think Mar-a-Lago summit has failed in that respect. That summit has succeeded in that respect, meaning both sides understand there is no way we should go into a trade war. This is not only for the two countries, but for the global economy as well, both being important members of G20, etc. But on 100-day negotiation, let's just take it at its face value.
Yes.
At face value. Of course, we need to negotiate with the new administration. We need to do some readjustment. But let me put it first. The overall direction of increased economic cooperation, increased trade and mutual investment will be the right choice. Will be the right choice. Whatever adjustment, whatever negotiation that is going to happen will have to be based on an expanded, a free trade system, a better environment for mutual investment. Financial cooperation, of course, has been a subject that has been under discussion for some time, for a long time. China has taken steps to, for instance, have a new regime, more market-based regime for exchange rate of RMB, managed market-based regime. That has already happened. For bilateral trade, it used to be issues like the soybeans and beef. Now they mention beef because soybeans have been resolved. Now China probably is the largest importer of US soybeans. But that's a win-win solution. We need soybean, we need
to export more beef to China as well.
Now they want more beef, but our position is pretty clear. Okay, let's negotiate. As long as your beef is healthy, is up to international standards, we can consider that. You know, I used to be involved in that too. Sure. China's objection to importing U.S. beef is that you have a problem. You have a health problem.
Yes.
You know, you sort things out in your own house, and then we can discuss it. I have, you remember, I discussed deficit on the part of the United States vis-a-vis China is a fact.
Sure.
And it has been in existence for many years, but this is not...
It's a fact, but also complicated fact.
It's a complicated fact. It is an evidence that two economies are mutually complementary to each other. You know, it's ideal, of course, we can cancel each other out. Their trade is totally balanced.
Sure.
But I don't think there's any country that you can have totally balanced trade. There is no
China
deficit.
Doesn't seek trade surplus.
We do not seek at all. We do not seek trade surplus with any other country. China actually has trade deficit with a lot of neighbors because we import a lot of components to be assembled in China and then re-exported to Europe and the United States. So I would say we need to have a closer look at this deficit with the United States. Part of it are China's deficit with our neighbors, Japan, South Korea, region of Taiwan, you know, Singapore, etc., etc. So we import lots of things from that will be counted in the final product, you know, as China's surplus, which in reality is not in our pocket, in the pocket of our neighbors. Secondly, there are many important American companies operating in China,
Sure.
inside China. Their products also counted as made in China, sure, and exported to the United States. So the profits...
It's a question of a calculation.
It's a question of calculation. I remember Lau, Professor Lau from Hong Kong, sure, has done some research in the past, yeah, and showing there is a different figure, different picture. Sure. But that can be discussed. What I want to say, even if we do have a pretty large surplus with the United States, certainly there is ways to reduce it, sure, if not totally eliminate it. It is a very important. I think that issue is not overlooked at the summit. Mm-hmm. Was not overlooked. Mm-hmm. According to reports, President Xi Jinping had proposed or has touched upon the two areas where, mm-hmm, if China-US increase our cooperation, certainly we can make a big step forward, mm-hmm, towards a reduction of trade deficit. One is manufacturing. Mm-hmm. You know, given the desire and the plan of Trump administration to upgrade, renovate U.S. infrastructure, whether $1 trillion US dollars or more.
The area China can help.
China has, I think China probably is the only country in the world now with a wide range of experience in infrastructure building. Mm-hmm. We have capital, mm-hmm, we have equipment, we have technology, we have capacity to build. So we almost have everything, a full round, a circle, a circle. So if US and China can come to agreement for the two countries to be involved in upgrading US infrastructure, that would be a big step forward. Maybe not officially at federal.
Very much hesitant over the issue.
I believe it is more out of so-called security reasons. Even if there is no explicit pronouncement at federal level, in reality, quite a few products have either been discussed or in the pipeline or even completed at state level in the United States. Subway cars, high-speed train, high-speed railway construction between LA and Las Vegas, etc. So it has been discussed, some have been completed. State governments in the United States are pretty enthusiastic, more enthusiastic about that. I think this is an area worthy consideration. President Xi touched upon it. I think this is big.
I think Trump listened.
He listened. He listened. Eventually, this will be a mutually
Yes.
a win-win situation.
We not only help the infrastructure construction in the United States, we're providing jobs.
Right, providing jobs. China is not going to own all the infrastructure in the United States.
Sure.
We cannot do that. We're not be able to do that, and we have no intention to do that. We just try to help. Try to help, and also it will help China to engage United States in more widely in capacity, production capacity cooperation. We do have excess capacity in infrastructure building. China, over the last 8 years, has built up such a capacity. And this can be used, of course, in One Belt, One Road initiative, can also be used between China and the United States. Second area, President Xi mentioned, according to the reports, news reports, is energy. Energy, as I understand it, and I talked about it in Hong Kong, U.S. now has become the biggest oil producer, surpassing Saudi Arabia, surpassing Russia, become the biggest oil producer, natural gas producer. Or exported also, because of the technological revolution in extracting shale gas, shale oil. But the problem is, again, geopolitical, because U.S. have banned exports of shale gas, shale oil, or energy to non-allies. They're selectively. U.S. is selective in exporting those energy resources. That's a bit ridiculous because
sure. If China can buy a lot of oil from the
we can buy it elsewhere.
The deficit will be decreased a lot.
Right. If not buying from the United States, you buy it from the international market.
Sure, yes.
There is an international market, not necessarily Middle East. There is an international market.
Doesn't look like a wise policy from the U.S. side.
It's not wise. If the U.S. can see it from a cooperative perspective, from a perspective that will reduce trade deficit, will increase jobs for the United States, that is also a very wise option to take. I think the volume will be huge. It's not billions of dollars. It will be 10 billions of dollars. The energy, China, and as China going in for low carbon green development, we need to replace coal with natural gas. You remember about a month ago in Beijing, we closed the last coal-powered electricity generation plant.
That's true.
We're closing that.
In Beijing, no plants are using coal.
But we need energy, we need electricity. Yeah. So replacement will be natural gas and oil, if not nuclear generation. So there is a great potential for the two countries to do so.
Yeah, American Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, and he said something. The plan was ambitious, because usually the trade negotiations were stretched for years and years. But this one, he said, is a big sea change in the pace of discussions. So my question is, how could two sides within 3 months really reach something? How can this be accomplished in a relatively so short period of time? Are we expecting early harvests from the plan?
If it's true, it certainly shows the determination of two nations to have a breakthrough in this relationship, to showcase not only to two nations but to the world that China and the United States are partners. Sure. Once we cooperate, we can enjoy, as you said, early harvest. We can enjoy huge benefits. That's why Secretary of Commerce was saying it was an ambitious plan, ambitious objective. I believe, as we discussed, we should include, I think, negotiations should include not only, as they will say, financial, beef. That's a more U.S. agenda, I think. The list, things on the U.S. list. Negotiation are two-way traffic. We should also have a list from China, or more a combined list, which should include energy, include infrastructure. And also one more thing I think we need to mention is the long years of U.S. prohibition of exports of dual-use goods, high-tech dual-use goods. We need to have a careful look at it. To be honest, if the dual-use technology, the gap between China and the United States is over 10, 20 years, for instance, U.S. might have a reason, for security reasons, we should not have China to have these technologies. Even if China will guarantee it will not be used militarily, but U.S. is uneasy. We cannot understand that. But let's say there is high-tech goods, dual use. The gap is only 3 years. There's a lot of goods, a lot of techs. True. Because China is catching up very fast.
A lot of that technology are becoming outdated.
Outdated, very fast.
China is catching fast.
China is catching fast, and also if the gap is so small, China also can get it elsewhere, maybe a bit more expensive. Yes. So U.S. should be wise enough, being such a huge nation.
Not wise policy of the United States.
Right, should be wise, should be wise enough to lift the bans on these goods. You have
some of the goods.
At least some of these goods that have a short duration. Sure. Of gaps between China and the United States. That will also not only increase trade volume, reduce trade deficit, but also enhance mutual understanding, mutual trust. And one step forward. Now, of course, with prohibition, people will say, what is this? You still treat China as your potential adversary or what?
Challenger.
Right? At least challenger or adversary, because you don't want to share this. You can share it with Japan. Why not share it with China? People have this question to ask. Sure. Yeah. So if you can list some of the goods which China is catching very fast, if you don't give them to China, 2 years later, China do not need it. China will not need it. There's huge potential there. So what I call is 2+1 plan. Infrastructure, energy, plus some high-tech dual-use goods. 2+1 plan for trade negotiation, at least on China's part. Of course.
Also we import more agricultural products.
Agricultural products, China is the biggest,
so,
I think.
The Trump and his team, hopefully they will soon change their mindset.
I think they are changing already.
If both sides are really sincere in cooperation, economic cooperation, I think the deficit issue will not be so difficult to solve.
I would say I can bet safely that Mar-a-Lago summit between President Xi and Donald Trump has come to a basic understanding on how to resolve trade deficit issues, on how to expand economic cooperation to increase trade and investment. By the way,
no wonder Trump no longer would say that China is a currency manipulator.
China is not a currency manipulator.
45% tariff on Chinese goods.
No, this is all I think, a campaign rhetoric, whatever he means. One thing I think both sides should give it a new try is BIT, bilateral investment treaty.
It's still going on, or it's stopped because of the presidential election?
I have no knowledge of ongoing negotiation. There were no news that negotiation is going on because of the change of administration in Washington. But we do hope, I do hope it will continue. Because investment is the basis of trade. You know, is a sign that the two countries' economy will be intertwined ever more closely. It's a win-win situation. Especially now China's export of capital, China's capital is going more and more into the United States, going global. And if China cannot going into US market to invest, those money will go to Europe, will go to other regions to invest. Because that's inevitable, because Chinese economy has reached a certain stage that capital export, capital investment is a huge component of our international trade, international investment.